Hello there, welcome or welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi. My name is Samantha and this is my channel where I talk all about books. Anyway, today I'm coming to you with my April wrap-up. We're a little bit delayed, it's about halfway through the month, and I apologize for that, but I just didn't really feel like filming on the first weekend, and the second weekend I got sick, and I'm still getting over that, so if I sound nasally, I'm sorry, but surely you're used to that with me by now because I'm sick every other week, I swear. Anyway, but yes, a little ways into the month, but I wanted to do an April wrap-up because I feel like I'm finally out of my reading slump. Fingers crossed. I had a pretty good reading month in April. I read 5 books and the ratings were not fantastic, but they weren't bad. I don't think there was anything that I was like, I actually hate this. Everything was fine or really fun. So yeah, I had a good time. I wanted to talk about these books. And actually this should be a pretty quick video because one of these books I've already spoken about in a video and then 2 books are part of a series. So that will be pretty quick to talk about. So yeah, let's just get into it. So if you've never watched one of my wrap-ups before, what we do is we first of all go through the stats that I get from Storygraph. Then we go over all the books I read and what I rated them. And then we will talk about the books in more detail. Actual reviews, if I feel like I have something to say about that book. But let's get into it. In the month, like I said, I read 5 books, which was a total of 1,641 pages, which is not that much, but it is more than I read in March. I think March was 600 pages. So we're getting there. Surely but slowly, we're getting out of this slump. In terms of the moods, I had 3 emotional, 2 mysterious, 2 lighthearted, 2 funny, 2 dark, 2 adventurous, 1 sad, 1 reflective. For pace, I read mostly medium paced books. 4 of them were medium and 1 was fast paced. For page number, they were all between 300 and 499 pages because apparently I can't read anything longer than that. For genres, I read 3 romance books, 2 of which were sports romance, 2 fantasy, which were fantasy romance. Well, I don't know. Actually, that doesn't necessarily check out. Whatever. 2 contemporary, 1 young adult, and 1 literary. For format, I read 3 print books and 2 digital books. For my star rating, I had an average rating of 3.55, which is not amazing, but not too bad. So I had 1 2.75, 1 3, 1 3.5, 1 3.75, and 1 4.75, which I feel like I would actually potentially lower to a 4.5. Maybe, but we'll keep it at 4.75 for now. That's all my stats. Sorry, I kind of blew through that today, and I also forgot to screen record, so oops, I'm gonna have to include screenshots. I hope it's okay. But yeah, those are all of the stats, and let's get into all of the books and what I rated them. So the first book that I finished in the month of April was Servant of Earth by Sarah Hawley. I read this in my latest episode of TBR Tackle, where I let a spinner wheel decide what to read, and actually this was the newest book that I had just bought in that video, and the wheel chose this for me. But yes, I gave this 3.75, and if you want to hear my full thoughts, I would recommend checking out that video. Next, I read The Deal by Elle Kennedy, and I gave this 3.5 stars. Then I read Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco, and I gave this 3 stars. Then I read The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, which is the second book in the Off-Campus series, with The Deal being the first book in that series, and I gave The Mistake 2.75. And finally, I read Dear Edward by Anna Napolitano, and I gave this 4.75, but I feel like it's more 4.5. I don't know, I'm conflicted, but we'll talk about this in a second. And now let's talk about them in more detail from worst to best. We're going to start with Kingdom of the Wicked, because even though that wasn't my lowest rated book, I want to talk about The Deal and The Mistake at the same time. Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I am very late to this series. I was actually not going to read this series. I don't know why, it just never really sounded that interesting to me, and I wasn't planning to read it, but I read Throne of the Fallen a couple years ago, and I enjoyed it, but I felt like I was missing some key information. And it turns out that it's actually a spin-off of the Kingdom of the Wicked series. So I was like, okay, I'm going to read the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy first, then I'll go back and reread Throne of the Fallen, and then continue on with that series. I have since decided I'm not going to do any of that. I am just not going to continue on with the Throne of the Fallen series, and I'm also not going to continue on with the Kingdom of the Wicked series, even though if you read my review on Goodreads, I was intrigued enough to continue on, but I'm not. And this book is actually really not memorable because I'm trying to think about what happened and I don't really recall. It follows our main character, Amelia. I remember that. Amelia is a witch. She lives in Sicily with her family and works at the family restaurant. Her grandmother's always been never summon a demon because specifically these princes of sin are the worst. So you should never summon them. Anyway, but her sister is brutally murdered and she's like, well, I am going to summon one to try and help me figure out what happened to my sister. So she does. She summons this demon, and I can't even remember what sin he's the prince of. But yeah, she summons him and he's like helping her out and trying to solve this mystery. It's a kind of a weird book because I feel like it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's a little bit mystery. It's a little bit fantasy. Like, I guess the characters are fantastical, but it's not really, it didn't really feel like a fantasy. I also could not place the timing. Like, I don't know when this was supposed to be set. It was just kind of all over the place. Also, it's a bit of a romance, but the romance is like, it's gonna develop, but you know that there's gonna be a romance. So there's not really any romance in this book, but you know it's coming. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this book because, to be honest, this book was kind of all over the place. I kind of enjoyed it, I guess. I gave it 3 stars, so I didn't hate it. But like I said, I just can't really remember it very well. I was reading this on a plane, so I was kind of a captive audience, and that was probably one of the main reasons I actually finished it, was because I was like, well, I have nothing better to do. None of the other books on my Kindle are holding my interest, so I'm just gonna persevere with this, I guess. I finished the book and it ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, so I was like, okay, I will continue with the series. Because I didn't do it immediately, I've now like completely lost interest. And I'm like, you know, no, I don't need to know. I just don't think that Kerri Maniscalco's writing is for me. Kind of a shame, because I thought I would really enjoy this series and the Throne of the Fallen series, but I don't really. Like, it's just not for me. But at least I've learned that now. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this. The next 2 books to talk about are The Deal and The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, the first 2 books in the Off-Campus series. I read The Deal on a plane as well. I read The Deal when I was on my way out to Cyprus to visit my friend, and then I read Kingdom of the Wicked on the way back. But yes, I read The Deal on the way there. I read most of the book on the plane, and then like every night that I was in Cyprus, my friend and I would have a little like reading session because we both love to read. So we just both like lie there in bed on our Kindles reading for like half an hour, and it was just the most wholesome, sweetest thing. I loved it. I just loved my trip in general. It was great to see my friend. I love her. We're getting off topic here. The Deal. It really held my attention, and I had a really fun time with it. That's why I gave it 3.5. It was not the most amazing romance book I've ever read. It's not a book that's even that memorable to me, but I had a really good time, hence the 3.5. So this book follows our main character. I can't believe I nearly forgot their names. I'm literally in the middle of watching the show, and so I've been like bombarded with their names 1,000 times, and yet it follows our main characters Hannah and Garrett. And Hannah is a music major, but Hannah and Garrett are in the same class, and she is the only one who aces the paper. And Garrett is the star hockey player. He is the son of Phil Graham, who's like the big hotshot, played for the New York Rangers. He's like really well known, and so Garrett has like a lot to live up to in that regard, although his dad is not the best person ever. So Garrett is the hotshot hockey player, and he does not do well on this test. So he's like, hey, Hannah, you should tutor me, and in return, I will help you get the attention of this guy who you like by pretending to date you, because guys want what they can't have. So yeah, they strike up a deal. He's gonna fake date her to make this guy jealous, and she's gonna help him pass the test. And obviously feelings develop, because that's how it goes. This book sounds like it's just gonna be a lighthearted fun time, but it does actually have some heavier topics that are explored. So I would suggest you look into content warnings if you're sensitive to things, because yeah, it was slightly jarring. Something was mentioned in the very first chapter, and I was not expecting that. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this book. I liked them together, and I liked it so much that I then read The Mistake right after, which follows Logan and Grace. And Logan is one of Garrett's friends and teammates and housemates. He lives with 4 boys from the hockey team, and so I think each of them get their own romance. It's a 5-book series, so there's like 4, and then 1 which kind of wraps up everyone's story, which is kind of fun actually. Logan is one of Garrett's friends and housemates, and he is kind of down in the dumps because he maybe has feelings for Hannah, and so he is going to parties and he's hooking up with lots of girls, and then he comes across this girl called Grace, and they have a very awkward encounter. Things don't go well, and he's like, okay, I need to make this right. Grace, meanwhile, is a freshman, and she is very inexperienced, and so she's kind of like, what the hell is going on? How has this happened that we have encountered each other in this way? Anyway, but it all ends in a mistake. Something happens, they end up not speaking, and they finish for summer break, and he is determined to get her back as soon as classes start back up in the fall. And this is definitely fun if you like the trope of like he falls first and like trying to like win her back and things like that. It's quite fun. I will say this one was more smutty than the first one, and that's why I didn't like it as much, because I was just like, okay, this is enough. It was okay. I also just cannot remember how this book finished. I remember the premise, I remember parts of it, but I don't remember the ending at all. Yeah, again, just not super memorable. And that's why I gave it 2.75 stars, because yeah, it was just not as good as The Deal and also not very memorable. I will say for both of these books, they came out in 2015, which I had no idea that they came out that long ago. They are a little bit dated. Some of the things that were said, I was like, this is crazy. I think in The Deal, Hannah called someone a douche canoe, and I was like, oh my god, I feel like I'm a teenager again. I have not heard that expression since I was a teenager, and that just made me chuckle. Overall, I don't dislike the series, but I love the show. I'm on episode 7 right now, today, May 16th. I've been watching the show a lot because I haven't been feeling well, so I started it on Thursday, and yeah, I'm on episode 7. I'm obsessed. I actually think it's so fun. It's hot. I'm having a good time. Would I recommend it? Maybe, probably not, but I'm having a great time, and it's already been renewed for a second season, so I'm happy about that. Does it make me want to continue on with the book series? Yes, which I didn't know if I was going to do, but now I'm like, I kind of feel like I need to get more of these characters. I can picture the actors from the TV show when I'm reading the book, and that will be extra fun. But yeah, I'm having a very good time with the show, and the books were fine. Moving on to the last book, the highest rated book of the month. I read Dear Edward by Anna Napolitano, and like I said, I gave this 4.75, but I think I'm going to lower it to like a 4.5 because I just feel like I haven't thought about this book since finishing it as much as I was expecting. And I am a little bit disappointed by that, to be honest, because Anna Napolitano wrote my favorite book of last year, which is Hello Beautiful. I love that book. Please read that book if you have not already. It's phenomenal. And I don't even read literary fiction very often, but I loved that book. Dear Edward was the last book she published before Hello Beautiful. And this basically follows our main character, Edward. He is on a flight with his family. They are moving from New York to Los Angeles, and it's a full flight. Unfortunately, the plane crashes and there's only one survivor. It's Edward. So he has to adjust to living his life without the rest of his family. He moves in with his aunt and her husband. He is 12 years old at the time. It's kind of a coming of age story. It's him growing up, having experienced such tragedy at such a young age, and sort of how he deals with that, the kind of like survivor's guilt that he has. And we also explore a lot of the stories of other people who are on the flight. There are chapters throughout which actually take place on the plane on the day, and it follows other passengers on the flight. And then the whole reason it's called Dear Edward is because Edward finds out that actually families of the people who were on the plane have been writing to him, and yeah, he's just trying to kind of figure out his life and what to do now. And it is so sad. It's so sad. You see all of those tabs. All of the blue tabs are times that I teared up or I was just sad. Like, it was a sad book, but it's the type of book that also has so much hope in it. I love it when humanity kind of comes together to take care of one person, because I feel like it's unrealistic, which is very pessimistic of me to say, but I do feel slightly like it's unrealistic, and so it's so beautiful when it does happen. Yeah, seeing other people support a stranger is just a beautiful thing, and so that's something that I really enjoy in books and media. I think it's why I cry every time I watch someone finishing a marathon or people helping people finish a marathon. Oh, it gets me. It gets me every time. I will cry if I see any sort of marathon video. Tears. Anyway, but yes, I like it when humans are nice to each other. What a concept. Anyway, so that's something I really liked about this, and just seeing Edward's support system. I can't put my finger on why I didn't love this. I really feel like I should have. I don't know if maybe it's because I read this a lot when I was on my commute, and so I couldn't really feel as much as I wanted to feel because I was trying not to cry. Maybe that's why I just didn't feel like amazed by it. I feel so horrible saying that because it is a really good book. I feel like I'm really making it sound like I didn't enjoy this book. I did. It just hasn't stuck with me or had the same impact on me as Hello Beautiful, which is what I was expecting. So I think that's why. It's just so hard when you read a book and you love it, and it's the first book you've read by that author. You just have a lot more expectations going into other things by the author if you've loved their first book that you've read by them. I would definitely recommend this one as well. Those were the 5 books that I read in the month of April. Please let me know what you read down below. I would love to know. If you've read any of the books that I talked about, let me know your thoughts. If you've been watching Off Campus, let me know your thoughts, because I'm kind of obsessed, and I'm definitely going to go and continue watching it right after I finished filming this. But yes, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please give a thumbs up. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Bye.